The House will come to order. Members, please register. Have all members registered? Have all members registered? A quorum is present. The House and gallery will please rise for the invocation, which will be offered by Reverend Natalie Webb from University Baptist Church in Austin, sponsored by the Honorable Gina Hinojosa of Travis County.
Will you join me in prayer? Gracious God, our Creator, Sustainer, Guide, we lift up our hearts to you, asking that you send your Spirit into this place. Fill this chamber with your love and peace, and break open the hearts and minds of these lawmakers so that they may see your face in the faces of the most vulnerable Texans they represent. Give them courage to do what is good and just and merciful in your sight, regardless of the political cost. We give you thanks for the faithful service of all those in this room. And where their service is unfaithful, we beg for your forgiveness. They know not what they do. God, forgive them for placing party over people. Forgive them for lining their pockets and campaigns with bribes from billionaires. Forgive them for caring more about re-election than about the people they are elected to serve. Lead them to repentance, to turn toward you, the God who through Jesus Christ reminds us, blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude you and revile you and defame you. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. God, save these leaders from the temptations of evil and give them the moral courage to stand with the poor, the hungry, and the grieving. We pray especially for the most vulnerable people in our state, our children. Guide these lawmakers to protect all our Texas children, regardless of religion, race, socioeconomic status, gender identity, disability, citizenship, by funding and supporting our neighborhood public schools with the abundant resources at their disposal. Help them to see in each child's face their own children's faces, their own grandchildren's faces. Help them to make the education they want for their loved ones a reality for every single child in our great state, without exception. For those who harbor fear and reticence that comes from those with even greater power, we ask for your courage and protection. For those who are actively working against our most vulnerable children, we ask for repentance. And if they will not have courage, if they will not repent, we pray that you bring any wicked and deceitful ways to ruin. May any plans that cause the suffering of your people come to ruin, and may all those who stand for all your children be blessed abundantly. Amen.
The chair recognizes the Honorable Trent Ashby of Angelina County to lead us in the pledges of allegiance to the United States and Texas flags.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, distinguished guests in the gallery, good morning. Would you please join me in the pledges to our flags? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The chair will now hear excuses for absent members. Please excuse Mr. Van Dever for today and the remainder of the week because of a death in the family on motion of Mr. Metcalf. Please excuse Mr. Smithy because of important business in the district on motion of Mr. Darby. Is there any objection? Chair is none so ordered. The chair is pleased to recognize Dr. Madhusva Panda from Odessa as the Doctor of the Day. Members, join me in welcoming our Doctor of the Day.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Doorkeeper,
Mr. Speaker, I have a messenger from the Senate at the door of the House.
admit the messenger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm directed.
He's not going to let you speak lately. I think it's rude, honestly.
Mr. Guerin moves to defer the reading and referral of bills until the end of today's business. Is there objection? Chair is none, and it's so ordered. Okay. Mr. Hunter for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House grant permission for all committees and subcommittees to meet while the House is in session pursuant to their committee postings or recess motions. Purpose of this motion, committees and subcommittees scheduled meet or reconvene today upon final adjournment or recess or during bill referral permission is granted or authorized to convene upon adoption by the House of today's adjournment motion.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair is none, so ordered. Go. Members, please take your conversations outside the rails. The following calendar rule for floor consideration, the clerk will read the rule.
Rule for floor consideration, SB 1, Section 1, Authority and Effect. This rule for floor consideration of SB 1 is proposed by the Committee on Calendars pursuant to Rule 3, Section 3.2. The rule is effective if it is approved by the House in accordance with Rule 6, Section 16F. Section 2, Put and Take Requirement. A, during second and third reading consideration of the bill, any amendment that adds or increases an item of appropriations in the bill made from general revenue or a general revenue dedicated account is not in order unless the amendment contains an equal or greater reduction in one or more items of appropriation in the bill from general revenue or from a general revenue dedicated account, regardless of whether the general revenue dedicated account is subject to certification. B, the provisions of this section do not apply to an amendment that makes an adjustment in an item of appropriation solely to correct a technical clerical error. Section 3, Opening Debate. A, the opening debate on SB 1 shall not exceed 40 minutes. One extension of time not to exceed 20 minutes may be granted by majority vote. A second extension of time may be granted only by unanimous consent. B, the first 20 minutes of the opening debate period shall be reserved for an explanation of the bill without interruption by the bill's sponsor and in succession by the chair of each committee, subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee. C, the second 20 minutes of the opening debate period and any extensions granted pursuant to this rule shall be reserved for the bill's sponsor and the subcommittee chairs to respond to questions from members regarding the content of the bill. The speaker may alternate between recognizing the bill's sponsor and recognizing the appropriate subcommittee chair to respond to a question from another member. Section 4, Perfecting Amendment. Consideration of an individual amendment to be placed in Article 11. A, the bill's sponsor may file, after the time period prescribed by Rule 11, Section 6H, one perfecting amendment to make necessary technical adjustments. This subsection does not prohibit the bill's sponsor from offering other perfecting amendments that are in order under Rule 11, Section 6 and 7. B, during consideration of an amendment, the amendment's author may move the adoption and placement in Article 11 of the amendment, together with any changes adopted by the House, by including that instruction in the motion to adopt the amendment. Upon adoption of the motion, the text of the amendment and any changes to the amendment that have been adopted by the House will be placed in Article 11, and the Journal will reflect that the text of the amendment and any changes to the amendment adopted by the House will be placed in Article 11. Section 5. In block consideration of amendments to be placed in Article 11. A, if the primary author of a pre-filed amendment wishes to move the amendment to Article 11 without debate, the primary author shall notify the parliamentarians using a form prescribed by the parliamentarians. B, at the expiration of the opening debate period under Section 3, at the conclusion of consideration of amendments that are not to be placed in Article 11, the Speaker may recognize the bill's sponsor for a motion to adopt and place in Article 11 that proposed amendments for which the parliamentarians have received notice under subsection A. Under such motion, the question shall be put to the House. 2. 1. Adopt all amendments in a single motion. 2. Place the text in the amendments in Article 11. 3. Require the Journal to reflect that the text of each amendment will be placed in Article 11. 4. Direct the Journal clerk to distribute to members on the list of each amendment included in the motion as soon as possible. And 5. Permit members to record a vote in the Journal on individual amendments included in a motion under this section by filing a statement with the Journal clerk no later than 5 p.m. on Thursday, April 17th, with the understanding that the recording of the vote on the amendment adopted under this section does not affect the adoption of the amendment or the inclusion of the text of the amendment in Article 11.
Please excuse Mr. Anchia because of important business in the district. On motion of Mr. Rosenthal, is there any objection? Chair is none, so ordered. The chair now recognizes Mr. Hunter to explain the rule.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. So if I could have your attention so you know what is being proposed. And it should be on your desks. And right now we're dealing with SB 1. And SB 1, the calendar rule, that's the budget. Now, for members that have been here more than the incoming class, this is very, very similar to what we've done during the budget. But I want to go through some highlights because we have new members that have not gone through this process. So members, the budget will be presented by Dr. Bonin and his committee members. The calendar set the budget for April 10th. So everybody note that on your calendars. April 10th is budget day. This rule is basically governing how we proceed on certain matters. As you know, in Texas, we have a balanced budget system. So the first rule that most of you are very familiar with is put and take. Now, put and take for new members is you have to do an amendment. If you're going to put money in a program, you got to show where you take it from. And that's the type of amendment the put and take is. So file your amendment, but you're going to keep it balanced because you're either going to put the money in your program, but you got to tell the members where you take it from. Now, Monday at 9 a.m. is the deadline for filing amendments. So I want to repeat that. Monday at 9 a.m., you must file your amendments. And you don't want it to say 9:01 a.m. because it's subject to challenge. So again, Monday, 9 a.m., file your amendments. We also have the regular procedure that is nothing different, where the Chair of Appropriations can do what's called a perfecting amendment. As many of you know, you do corrections, administrative. If after we do a lot of the budget, we do a lot. If there's a technical issue that you can fix the name of an agency, a misspelling, grammar, that's the administrative clerical. The other issue is what we call Article 11. Now, Article 11 is only in the budget. That's SB 1. It's unique to SB 1. I use this term. The Appropriations Committee probably doesn't use this term, but Article 11 is called the wish list. And that is where you will have amendments go that you're hoping will be considered by whichever committee makes the decision. As you've known in the past, many file Article 11 amendments, but may not want to talk on the amendment. So the calendar rule makes the provision where the chair can do what we call a voluntary sweep of those amendments into Article 11. As you remember, in the past, you have to come up, you have to be called, you have to read it, and then you have to tell us whether you want to speak on it or not. This just allows you to move those amendments in. And new members, as well as current members, there is an objection process built in where you have, I believe it's till 5 o'clock on April 15th to file any of your amendments, objections. So it provides that mechanism. However, if you want to come up here and argue for your Article 11 amendment, you may do so. This just allows you to move so the process can be much easier as we go through. And the bottom line is, this is nothing different other than we've incorporated from the past the calendar rules. Now, when I talk about the next calendar rule, there's a little different designation. Put and take, perfecting, Article 11, and Monday at 9 a.m.
Please take your conversations outside the rail.
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield for questions?
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Thank
Gentleman
you, sir.
yields.
I have three questions. One is, someone just came up and asked, is this different than last year on the time frame to offer amendments, or is it the same as last year?
You mean to the filing of the amendments?
Correct. Yes.
Representative Tinderholt, this time is in the House General Rules.
Okay.
So it's been placed in the rules we already voted.
So I've had a few people come up and ask the question about put and take. I understand put and take. If you want to put money somewhere, you have to take it somewhere. The question is, if you just want to take money, you don't have to put it anywhere. It'll just go back into general revenue. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, this calendar rule says you got to show where you put it, and you got to show where you take it. You don't get to show where you put it, not take it.
well,
take
what
it,
I'm
not
saying
put
is,
it.
if you take money, if you don't want that money to go somewhere and you just take it, we don't have to go put it somewhere. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Okay.
Correct.
And then the last one is going to sound a little silly, but took me several years to figure this out. Is Article 11 essentially a circular trash can if someone offers you to move it there or someone puts it there? They don't normally pass. Is that correct? On the budget.
Well, let's just say, I think it's called the hope section.
Okay.
But
Well-
are you guaranteed? The answer is no.
I just want to make sure that people know if someone offers you to move it to Article 11 and you really want it to pass, probably don't move it there. But
I
thank
was
you.
going to say Article 11 is no guarantee.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Speaker,
Mr. Raymond, for what purpose?
a question of the chairman, if he would yield for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes.
The gentleman yields.
So, Chairman, I just want to be clear. We're going to have the appropriations bill on the floor on April the 10th. Is that right?
Representative Raymond, April 10th is going to be the budget, and we will
Mr.
be.
Speaker, I can't hear. Could you bring some order?
Members, please take your conversations outside the rail.
This is important, members. So when are we going? I'm sorry, you were saying,
to help
Chairman?
you out, Thursday, April 10th, is going to be SB1 Budget Day, Appropriations Day, and we will do the budgets
Here in the House.
here on the House floor.
Thank you, Chairman.
Move passage.
The question occurs in the adoption of the rule. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Representative Brown. Representative Leach voting aye. Representative Isaac voting aye. Representative Hunter voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 133 ayes and 14 nays, the rule is adopted. The following calendar rule for consideration, the clerk will read the rule.
Rule for the floor consideration, HB 500. Section 1, authority in effect. This rule for floor consideration of HB 500 is proposed by the Committee on Calendars pursuant to Rule 3, Section 3.2. The rule is effective if it is approved by the House in accordance with Rule 6, Section 16F. Section 2, pre-filing requirement. All original amendments that will be offered during second reading consideration of the bill must be filed with the Chief Clerk by 9 a.m. on Monday, April 7th. Section 3, put and take requirements. A, during second and third reading consideration of the bill, any amendment that adds or increases an item of appropriation in the bill made from general revenue or a general revenue dedicated account is not in order unless the amendment contains an equal or greater reduction in one or more times of appropriation in the bill from general revenue or from a general revenue dedicated account, regardless of whether the general revenue dedicated account is subject to certification. B, the provisions of this section do not apply to an amendment that makes an adjustment in an item of appropriation solely to correct a technical clerical error. Section 4, perfecting amendment, consideration of an individual amendment to be placed in Article 9A. A, the bill's author may file after the time period prescribed by Section 2, one perfecting amendment to make necessary technical adjustments. This subsection does not prohibit the bill's author from offering other perfecting amendments that are in order under Rule 11, Sections 6 and 7. B, during consideration of an amendment, the amendment's author may move the adoption and placement in Article 9A of the amendment together with any changes adopted by the House by including that instruction in the motion to adopt the amendment. Article 9A shall be inserted into the bill upon adoption of an in-block list of amendments under Section 5. An amendment placed in Article 9A does not constitute an item of appropriation or a permissible detail, restriction, or limitation of an item of appropriation, but reflects the intent of the legislature that the subject matter of the amendment be given consideration at such time as resources are available or implementation is feasible. Upon adoption of the motion, the text of the amendment and any changes to the amendment that have been adopted by the House will be placed in Article 9A, and the Journal will reflect that the text of the amendment and any changes to the amendment adopted by the House will be placed in Article 9A. Section 5, in block consideration of amendments to be placed in Article 9A. A, if the primary author of a pre-filed amendment wishes to move the amendment to Article 9A without debate, the primary author shall notify the parliamentarians using a form prescribed by the parliamentarians. B, at the expiration of the bill author's time for opening debate under Rule 5, Sections 27 and 28, and at the conclusion of consideration of amendments that are not to be placed in Article 9A, the Speaker may recognize the bill's author for a motion to adopt and place in Article 9A the proposed amendments for which the parliamentarians have received notice under subsection A. Under such motion, the question shall be put to the House to 1. Adopt all amendments in a single motion. 2. Place the text of the amendments in Article 9A. 3. Require the Journal to reflect that the text of each amendment will be placed in Article 9A. 4. Direct the Journal clerk to distribute to the members the list of each amendment included in the motion as soon as possible. And 5. Permit members to record a vote in the Journal on individual amendments included in a motion under this section by filing a statement with the Journal clerk no later than 5 p.m. on Thursday, April 17th, with the understanding that the recording of a vote on an amendment adopted under this section does not affect the adoption of the amendment or the inclusion of the text of the amendment in Article 9A.
The chair recognizes Mr. Hunter to explain the rule.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill will also be voted on April 10th. This is your supplemental. It is essentially the exact same calendar rule, but because there's not an Article 11, we have created the Article 9A. You will still have to file all amendments by Monday at 9 a.m. Move passage.
The question occurs in the adoption of the rule. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Serves Leach voting aye, Hunter voting aye, Vogt voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Representative Jones voting aye. Leo Wilson voting aye. Have all members voted? There being 131 ayes and 15 nays, the rule is adopted. The following announcement, the clerk will read the announcement.
The Committee on Higher Education will meet today upon adjournment, recess, or bill referral if permission is granted in room 3W9 and a formal meeting to consider pending referred and committee business.
Members, please take your seat. We have a memorial resolution.
The chair recognizes Mr. Morales of Mavic for memorial recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we recognize the city of Del Rio, but before we do, we want to take the time to recognize an honorable man from the city of Del Rio, from Valverde County, who contributed his adult livelihood to the betterment of that community. We have the family here, and if you may, indulge me in these brief comments. Today we honor the life and legacy of former Del Rio Fire Chief Joe Harrington. He began volunteering for the fire department in Del Rio in 1974, 1 year before I was born. And following four decades of dedication and passion for service, he worked through the ranks all the way to become the fire chief and left a lasting impression on the community he served. In all his endeavors, Chief Harrington enjoyed the love and support of his family, including his wife of 25 years, Ms. Martha Rodriguez. If you're here, please stand up. In the gallery, we also have Chief Harrington's family, including Ms. Rodriguez, Aaron Rodriguez, her son, Mary Lou Alves, and Hugo Trevino. If you can please rise. Members, I ask that you join me in this moment of silence so that we can recognize the life of Fire Chief Joe Harrington and his family.
Members, please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Mr. Morales of Maverick for a motion.
Mr. Speaker and members, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider H.R. 650.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Following resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. number 650 by Morales of Maverick, recognizing April 2nd, 2025 as Val Verde County Del Rio Day at the state capitol.
The chair recognizes Mr. Morales of Maverick to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under the new rules and guidelines that we have to keep our comments brief, and for that, it is my honor to welcome the Val Verde County and the city of Del Rio to their Texas capital. If you can all stand up, please. On the dais, we have Mayor Pro Tem Joe DeRose, Commissioner Juan Carlos Vasquez, Val Verde Regional Medical District Director Seferino Gomez, and School Board President Raymond Mesa. Folks in the gallery, please again stand up, and members, give them a round of applause for in welcoming them to the Texas Capitol. Move adoption.
Question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Representative Shaheen for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider H.R. 659.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. number 659 by Shaheen, recognizing April 2nd, 2025 as Strength in Unity, Elevating Texas Together Day at the state capitol, and extending appreciation to the members of the BAPS spiritual organization.
Chair recognizes Mr. Shaheen to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today I have the honor of recognizing April 2nd, 2025 as Strength in Unity, Elevating Texas Together Day. Today we acknowledge the profound impact that BAPS has made on our communities here in Texas. This international organization has long been a beacon of hope, service, and cultural enrichment, embodying the very values that we cherish as Texans: faith, family, and service. As we recognize April 2nd as Texas Together Day, we extend our heartfelt appreciation to the members of BAPS. On the dais and in the gallery, we have several BAPS members from across the state of Texas. Thank you all for being here today, and welcome to your state capitol.
Chair recognizes Chair recognizes Dr. Lalani.
Keep standing. Yeah, keep standing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It is my honor to join Representative Shaheen today in joint authoring H.R. 659, recognizing the members of the BAPS on the occasion of Strength in Unity, Elevating Texas Together Day here at our state capitol. Today we celebrate the organization that stands for a true pillar of service, unity, and cultural enrichment. Their commitment to humanitarian efforts, education, and interfaith dialogue enriches lives and promotes unity across our diverse communities. Members, as we welcome the BAPS community in the gallery today and on the dais, I'm reminded with a powerful quote that I have heard many times chanted in the temple from His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj. In the joy of others lies our own. In the joys of others lies our own. That simple truth reflects the heart of BAPS mission and serves as a guiding principle for all of us in public service. Please join me in welcoming and expressing our deep appreciation and extending our sincere best wishes for continued success. Thank you, members and Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted.
The chair recognizes Mr. Ashby for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise today to recognize the Texas Forestry Association for their Advocacy Day at the Capitol and their seedling giveaway to promote public awareness of working forest and the importance of the forest and wood products economy here in our great state. Founded in 1914, the Texas Forestry Association has worked tirelessly to ensure that abundant forests remain a dependable resource for the citizens of Texas. The forest sector in Texas covers over 12 million acres, directly employs over 70,000 people, and has a total impact of over $42 billion. I encourage everyone, members, staff, guests here at the Capitol today, to stop by the Legislative Conference Center today to pick up a free tree seedling to take home and plant. I am also honored to welcome a number of members from the Texas Forestry Association that are up in the gallery. They're on the east side. They're standing now, as well as the Texas Forestry Association's current president, David Alders. Now, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at the president, David Alders, behind me. If he looks similar to someone standing just over my left shoulder, he's also the father of our new colleague, Representative Daniel Alders. Would you please join with me in welcoming these distinguished guests to their Texas house? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The resemblance is uncanny. All right, thanks.
The chair recognizes Mr. Martinez for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today we celebrate 75 years of dedication, innovation, and service from Half and Company that was helped shape the very foundation of Texas. What started in 1950 as a small engineering firm founded by Dr. Albert Half has grown into a leader in infrastructure with 32 offices across 6 states. Their work has touched every corner of our state, from designing the Mill Creek Tunnel in Dallas, the largest stormwater tunnel in the country, to helping craft Texas' first ever state floodplain. Half has not only built roads and tunnels, but has also built trust with the community they serve. Today we are joined up here in the gallery with Jessica Baker, Todd Jackson, Steve Miller, and Mr. Miles Bullion, my cousin, as they mark the incredible milestone. And let's take a moment to honor and applaud the hard-working individuals behind Half and Associates and celebrate their 75 years of dedication, resilience, and diligence. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Mr. Busey for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, please help me in recognizing an exceptional public servant that we have here with us today in the gallery. Mr. Mike Gleason, we're recognizing him today for his exceptional service as sheriff of Williamson County. During the course of his 31 years of service with the Sheriff's Office, Mr. Gleason demonstrated exemplary leadership and commitment to public service. Mike is here today, seated right up here. If you'll stand for us, Sheriff Gleason. A recipient of the Dr. James Moritz Endowed Scholarship from the 100 Club of Texas, Mr. Gleason graduated from the prestigious FBI National Academy of Quantico, Virginia. During his time as Sheriff of Williamson County, Mr. Gleason reinstated the Crisis Intervention Team, secured pay increases for corrections and law enforcement officers, maintained a fully staffed agency, and established a jail-to-job program for inmates. In addition to his service as sheriff, Mike also dedicated time to serving on a number of boards and committees, including the Williamson County Services Board, Bluebonnet Trails Community Services Board, Sheriff's Association of Texas Board, and Major County Sheriffs of America Foundation Committee. I want to thank you, Sheriff, for joining us here at the Capitol. We appreciate everything you've done for Williamson County, and your Williamson County delegation and former Williamson County delegation is here to applaud you. Members, help me recognize Sheriff Mike Gleason. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes Mr. Metcalf for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today I want to take a moment and honor the Montgomery Independent School District as it celebrates 100 years anniversary, a century dedicated to educational excellence and community service. I'm honored to welcome the members of the Montgomery ISD Board of Trustees in the House Gallery today. If you all could stand up, we have President Matt Fuller, Vice President Lori Turner, Secretary Eddie Wynn, Trustees Sean Dennison, Paul Cameron, Lizzie Ivy, and Nate Robb with us. Also, Justin Marino is here as well. Very good friend. I want to thank them for all of their work that you do for our community and our students. Members, please join me in recognizing these board members and my friends for a remarkable legacy for Montgomery Independent School District. Welcome to your Texas Capitol. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members.
The chair recognizes Mr. Leach for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, it is my honor today to join with fellow members from North Texas and the Collin County delegation to recognize and celebrate Collin County Days. If everybody in the chamber or in the gallery from Collin County will stand up. I know you're kind of spread out, but if you'll stand up, welcome. Members, Collin County, named after Colin McKinney, who was a signer of the Texas Declaration of Independence, is one of the largest and fastest growing counties in the entire state, really in the entire country. The education level in Collin County is twice as high as the state and U.S. averages, with more than 90% of the workforce holding a high school diploma and over half having earned their bachelor's degree. A highly skilled workforce is truly what makes Collin County a leader in job growth. We've attracted major corporations like Toyota, J.P. Morgan Chase, Raytheon, NetScout, the PGA, Texas Instruments, and many, many more, including many great small and mid-sized businesses. Collin County is home to over 30 cities and towns that have been named best places to live, work, and raise a family. I'm proud to welcome, I think in the gallery today, over 100 representatives from Collin County, and including somewhere, well, they were supposed to be on the dais, so I'm not going to introduce them. But we've got mayors and city councilmen and school board members and superintendents and a bunch of great people from Collin County. Welcome, and thank you for being here at your Texas Capitol.
The chair lays out the following previously adopted resolution. The clerk will read the caption.
H.R. number 33 by Lalani, recognizing April 2nd, 2025 as World Autism Awareness Day.
Members, please take your conversations outside the rails. The chair recognizes Dr. Lalani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today, I have the distinct honor of recognizing April 2nd, 2025 as the World Autism Awareness Day here in Texas. This important day promotes better understanding of autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder includes a wide range of conditions characterized by social, communication, and behavioral changes. Globally, about 1 in 100 children is diagnosed with ASD. Here in the United States, the prevalence is not notably high, with approximately 1 in 36 children are identified with autism. In Texas, it is estimated 800,000 individuals are living with ASD, underscoring the importance of awareness in supporting services. Dr. Temple Garden, a renowned autism advocate, once said, "The world needs all kinds of minds." This is a powerful statement that reminds us of the value and potential within every individual. Today, let us foster compassion, understanding, acceptance for all those affected by autism. I encourage all Texans to commit themselves to promoting inclusion and support for our friends, neighbors, and family members living with ASD. Irrespective of our abilities, we should get equal opportunities to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
The chair recognizes Representative Rodriguez Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative, for bringing awareness to today's blessed day. I have the blessing of having a child with autism, and I want to thank all the educators and all the parents out there uncovering their worlds, discovering their worlds, and being part of their worlds. It's a true blessing to have a child with autism in your life and a colleague with autism in your life, and I just want to say I'm grateful to all of the professionals and all the parents who work within this community. We are only better when we can enter their worlds and celebrate and appreciate the blessings that they really are. So thank you so much.
Thank you, members.
Thank you.
We are about to go on the third reading calendar. These bills require a record vote, so you might want to stay near your desks. The chair lays out on third reading House Bill 195. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 195 by PLISA, relating to the dissemination of certain school district ad valorem tax-related information.
The chair recognizes Ms. Plisa to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is the same bill we heard yesterday. It promotes transparency and accountability in our property tax system. Taxparency. I appreciate everybody's support yesterday, and I hope for your favorable consideration today. For a better Texas, I move passage.
The question occurs in the final passage of House Bill 195. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative King voting aye, Hunter voting aye, Jones voting aye, Police voting aye. Representative Jones voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 130 ayes and 17 nays, the House Bill 195 is finally passed. The chair lays out on third reading House Bill 13. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 13 by King, relating to creating the Texas Interoperability Council and a grant program administered by the council.
Chair recognizes Mr. King to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Bill 13 creates the Texas Interoperability Council. Move passage.
The question occurs in the final passage of House Bill 13. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative King voting aye, Representative Hunter voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 129 ayes and 18 nays, the House Bill 13 is finally passed. Chair lays out on third reading House Bill 143. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 143 by King, relating to the authority of the Railroad Commission of Texas and the Public Utility Commission of Texas to address a failure by an operator to maintain an electrical power line serving a well site or certain surface facilities in accordance with the National Electrical Code.
Chair recognizes Mr. King to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Bill 143 seeks to clarify the statutory authority of the Railroad Commission and the PUC of Texas to implement an MOU to help prevent wildfires. Move passage.
The question occurs in the final passage of House Bill 143. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Chair Representative King voting aye. Hunter voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 132 ayes and 15 nays, House Bill 143 is finally passed. Chair lays out on third reading House Bill 135. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 135 by Button, relating to an exemption from sales and use taxes for game animals and exotic animals.
Chair recognizes Ms. Button to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is a bill that clarifies the exemption for exotic game animals. Move passage.
The question occurs in the final passage of House Bill 135. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Hunter voting aye. King voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 118 ayes and 27 nays, House Bill 135 is finally passed. The chair lays out on second reading HJR 1. The clerk will read the resolution.
HJR number 1 by Meyer, proposing a constitutional amendment to authorize the legislature to exempt from ad valorem taxation a portion of the market value of tangible personal property of a person owns that is held or used for the production of income.
The chair recognizes Mr. Meyer to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Joint Resolution 1 proposes a constitutional amendment allowing the legislature to increase the business personal property tax exemption from currently the $2,500 to $250,000. This $250,000 exemption would be the second largest exemption of its kind in the country and would provide substantial savings to businesses across the state, especially many small businesses within each of our districts. This HJR would be placed on the November 4th, 2025 ballot to allow for voters to decide for themselves whether to enact this change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Amendment by Verdell.
The chair recognizes Mr. Verdell to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. I appreciate what Mr. Meyer has filed here. I also feel that it needs to be higher. Business owners already pay sales tax on many things to include tooling, microwaves, vehicles, furniture, computers, equipment, etc. Many of you are business owners and understand what I'm talking about here. To be taxed annually on items that sales tax has already been paid for is immoral and unfair, and I would like to ask that members vote yes to my amendment.
Mr. Little, for what purpose?
Question for the author, if the author yields for questions.
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
I yield.
Gentleman yields.
Representative Verdell, do you know how much in tax our state has overcollected from its citizens and businesses such that we have a surplus in this state?
I do know we have a surplus. I don't know the number.
Would it sound correct if I shared with you that it was around $24 billion?
That does sound correct.
I note that the fiscal note on this House Joint Resolution is $566 million. Seems like we have a lot of room left to solve this problem. Do we not, Representative Verdell?
I would agree with that, Representative Little.
You may have heard Chairman Hunter state earlier that we have a balanced budget in this state. If we have a $24 billion surplus, it doesn't sound like we have a balanced budget in our state, does it?
It does not.
Do you own a business, Representative Verdell?
I have, and my family does.
When you owned a business, did you pay franchise taxes?
Yes.
Real property tax?
Yes.
Business personal property tax?
Yep.
Federal income tax?
Yes, sir.
Sales tax?
Yep.
We can afford this amendment as a state, can't we, Mr. Verdell?
Yes, sir. Appreciate your questions.
Why don't we go ahead and move this amendment through, put more money back into the pockets of the people that are guaranteeing the Texas miracle? This is a good amendment, and I recommend that we all vote for it and support it.
Thank you.
Ms. Luther, for what purpose?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Does the gentleman yield?
I do yield.
Gentleman yields.
Hi, Mr. Verdell, when you buy a car in the state, how many times do you pay taxes on it?
You pay the sales tax on it, and then if you are a business owner, you're going to pay an annual property tax on the value of that vehicle also.
So for every year that you own that or it's part of your business, you're going to pay for it multiple times.
That's correct. And same for forklifts and many other equipment, all other equipment.
So is that a form of double taxation?
It is 100% double taxation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I move that this amendment gets passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Meyer, in opposition to the amendment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. I'm going to move to table this amendment. We are currently aligned with the Senate in the amount of business tax relief we are able to provide pursuant to our budgets. The Senate, if you'll take a look at their base budget, has about $500 million. This exemption costs about $560 million. And so what we're trying to do is have a comprehensive package of tax relief for Texans. And so this is the limit that we have gotten to with the Senate. We're aligned with the Senate. And quite frankly, if something like this were to pass, and don't get me wrong, in the future, I'd love to see this get increased, then we would naturally have to take from HB 8, from the other property tax relief, it would shift from our individual residents, the property tax relief we want to provide them. So for those reasons, I move to table.
Mr. Myers moved to table, so the only thing I can do is recognize Mr. Verdell to close. Mr. Verdell to close.
Like I said, I really appreciate Representative Myers filing this bill. I think it's a great bill, and I think that regardless of whether this amendment passes or not, that we should pass this bill. But I would like to ask that y'all take a vote on this, and I hope somebody will request a record vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Mr. Verdell sends up an amendment. Mr. Meyer moves to table. The question is on the motion to table. If you are in favor of the amendment, vote no on the motion to table. If you are opposed to the amendment, vote yes on the motion to table. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Meyer voting aye. Have all members voted? Mr. Garcia voting no. Have all members voted? There being 102 ayes and 42 nays, the motion to table prevails. The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Yeah. Amendment by Verdell.
The chair recognizes Mr. Verdell to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just as mentioned in the previous amendment, this does the same thing except reduces it to, or increases from $250,000 to $500,000 for business owners. And with that, I would like to request a record vote, and I close. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Mr. Meyer in opposition to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, for the same reasons as previously stated, we have a set amount. We are aligned with the Senate. We want to work with the Senate and the governor to get meaningful property tax relief for all Texans, and therefore I move to table this amendment.
Mr. Verdell to close.
Just for the sake of time, once again, the same thing, and I really would appreciate y'all that you help a lot of business owners out. I know many of y'all are business owners. Thank you very much.
Mr. Verdell sends up an amendment. Mr. Meyer moves to table. The question occurs in the motion to table. If you're in favor of the motion, the amendment, vote no on the motion to table. If you're opposed to the amendment, vote yes on the motion to table. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative Meyer voting aye. Representative Goodwin voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 109 ayes and 34 nays, the motion to table prevails. Mr. Little, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that all remarks regarding Amendment 1 to HJR 1 be reduced to writing and placed in the journal.
You've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair is none, so ordered. Does any member wish to speak on, for, or against the resolution? Hearing none, Chair recognizes Mr. Meyer to close on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members.
Oh, Representative Bernal, for what purpose?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Does the gentleman yield?
I yield.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to make sure that everyone understands what this bill does. So, in order to qualify, for example, for the franchise tax, a business has to gross over $1 million, right?
Correct.
But personal property tax is taxes that you pay on items that you use in your business to make money, correct?
That is correct.
And the only thing that we can do, and up to this point have done, to touch small businesses would be this.
That's correct.
And so the franchise tax doesn't touch the mom and pops that most of the people in our districts work for. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But this would.
Absolutely.
And we haven't touched this in quite some time. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're moving it from $2,500 to $250,000.
And so people understand, let's say that you, tell me if this is correct. If you own a coffee shop and you spend $5,000 on an espresso machine, you've paid for it in full. Normally, you would still have to pay taxes on that machine. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the county could drive by your business, never look inside, not know that you spent $5,000, but assume you spent $15,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then you would be taxed on that $15,000. Is that correct?
Absolutely right.
And so the only relief, the only thing that we can do that touches the mom and pops that we can do in this building is this tax. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent bill. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Move passage.
The question occurs in the adoption of HJR 1. This is a record vote required by the Constitution. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative Meyer voting aye. Representative Harris-Davila voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 132 ayes and 13 nays, HJR 1 is adopted. The chair lays out on second reading HJR 2. The clerk will read the resolution.
HJR number 2 by Guerin, proposing a constitutional amendment prohibiting the legislature from imposing death taxes applicable to a decedent's property or the transfer of an estate, inheritance, legacy, succession, or gift.
The chair recognizes Mr. Guerin for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to postpone further consideration of HJR 2 until 10 a.m. April 15th.
You've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair is none, so ordered. The chair lays out on second reading HB 9. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 9 by Meyer, relating to an exemption from ad valorem taxation of a portion of the appraised value of tangible personal property a person owns that is held or used for the production of income.
The chair recognizes Mr. Meyer to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is the enabling legislation to H.R. 1, which we just passed. In addition to increasing the exemption from $2,500 to $250,000, HB 9 also eliminates the onerous paperwork that many of our small business owners have to go through currently if they're under the $250,000 threshold. It eliminates the paperwork for them. And with that, Mr. Speaker, members, I move passage.
Mr. Money, for what purpose?
Will the gentleman yield for questions?
This gentleman yields.
I will.
The gentleman yields.
I had questions about the onerous paperwork, but the onerous paperwork is not only on the business side, is it? The county itself expends a lot of bureaucratic time and energy on guessing how much stuff is worth, working through sending out renditions to business owners, and that costs the taxpayers money as well, correct?
That is correct.
So this saves taxpayers money, it saves taxpayers hassle, and it saves the taxing entities money and hassle as well, correct?
You're absolutely correct, Representative Money.
All right, thank you. It's a very good bill.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Collier, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield for some questions?
Does the gentleman yield?
I will yield.
The gentleman yields.
Chair Meyer, I just have some clarifying questions so I can understand. In terms of the exemption that you're raising for the tangible personal property, this is going to be less money that can be collected by a taxing entity. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And where would a taxing entity be able to make up the difference?
That'd be up to the individual taxing entities to figure out how they would, if they needed to, because as we currently know, Representative, a lot of the local taxing entities are taking in way too much money as we speak. They are taking it from our constituents, and so that would be something that they would need to deal with, but quite frankly, they take enough from our constituents as we sit here today.
Oh, well, you mentioned something that may not be relevant to this bill. You said they're taking in too much tax money, and maybe the issue deals with the appraisal values that are attached, which are out of control,
I would agree with you, appraisal values, but also say tax rates are out of control, and so that's why we're looking to address that this session.
But doesn't the state have a maximum amount of tax rate that a local government can charge?
They do, but local governments, depending upon the different taxing entities, can absolutely charge the rates that they see fit. Some are more, some are less, and depending upon if there's different exemptions to it. So, yeah, I think I want to give money back to my constituents, as I'm sure everyone else does.
Well, we could also limit the amount that they could charge in terms of the rate, since you said that we control that at the state level.
Well, that's not in this particular
Well,
bill.
I'm just saying
This deals with the exemption for business personal property.
Sure, I understand that. So back to this particular bill. So if by a local government, the city, say for instance, is unable to collect this particular amount, the difference between the two, was it 250 or 250,000 of the appraised value, which we're not addressing in here, the appraised value, but you're just saying as the appraised value. If they're not able to collect that difference of what we've put the limitations on, you're saying that they can find any way to make it up. So maybe raise the water bill.
No, ma'am. They need to do what we do here and have a balanced budget and constrain their spending. And like this bill does, this gives relief back to our constituents. Ma'am, I don't work. I'm not an elected official. I don't work for a city. I don't know how they would need to get there, but I do know this: we need to rein in what they're currently doing. And if they need to figure out how to make this up, they need to figure out how to make this up.
Well, we could also rein it in by limiting the rate that they could charge, but that's not what this bill does.
That is not what this bill does.
In terms of, you said that they could make it up somewhere else. And so I'm just trying to think of the other ways that they can make up the difference. One would be raising the water bill, raising garbage collection rates, These are all things that are passed on to the consumer.
Ma'am, my bill does not address rates. It addresses a business personal property tax exemption
I
that all of our,
understand.
well, let me finish, that all of our small business owners desperately need.
And I'm here for the people, and I'm asking about, you're saying that they can make it up somewhere else. And these are things that a city charges for: water, garbage, roads. There's other things that they, charge and pass on. And so they're going to have to find a way to make up the
No,
loss.
I would suggest they tighten their budgets.
I'm sorry?
I would suggest they tighten their budgets and become more lean.
Is that something that we could do here at the state legislature?
Again, my bill deals with business personal property, but if you're asking my suggestion, that's my suggestion.
But we could also tighten it up by putting caps on how much they could charge in the tax rate, and that would do the same thing that you're doing here.
No, ma'am, and again, mine is just about business personal property.
Right.
Doesn't deal with the rates.
Okay, I'm trying to make sure that I understand how this is going to impact the people in my district. And right now, by raising the exemption for business personal property taxes from $2,500 to $250,000 for starting with this tax year, 2025, is that right?
It'll be on the ballot in November, yes, ma'am.
And if it passes, it'll be retroactive.
Right, so again, we're having our voters on HJR 1, not on HB 9, but on HJR 1, our voters are going to decide whether they think this is a good idea, and that's why we're leaving it up to the people of Texas, as we should.
Did you know that in Fort Worth, the city's taxable business property tax accounts, approximately 82%, are below a taxable value threshold of $250,000? Did you know that?
I'm not advised.
Okay. Well, that's what I've been told. So this is going to have a huge loss to the city of Fort Worth, and it's going to be a big burden onto our taxpayers. But thank you for answering my questions.
Mr. Dutton, for what purpose?
Would the gentleman yield?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
I will certainly yield.
Gentleman yields.
Chairman Meyer, I guess the only question I had is, do you know what the total value of the exemptions from sales tax is right now?
I do not. I'm not advised.
Okay, because it seems to me that we're adding to that, but I was just curious about what the total exemptions would be valued at right now.
I don't currently know that total, but Representative Dutton, we certainly can get you that information.
And again, finally, I think somebody told me that this one is totaling about $35,000. Is that right?
I'm sorry, in what regard do you mean totaling about $35,000?
That the exemptions we're totaling under this bill is about $35,000 only?
Again, Representative, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question or the dollar amount. What is the $35,000 that you're referencing?
Would be the amount that would be exempted under.
Members, please take your conversations outside the rail.
I'm sorry, Representative, please restate your question.
Well, I was just trying to get some idea of how much money we were talking about in terms of this particular bill.
Oh, for small businesses
Yes.
to save?
Right.
Depending upon the amount, it's anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, which is definitely meaningful for many small businesses.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Morgan, for what purpose?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Yes, sir, I do.
Gentleman yields.
That $5,000 to $10,000 that you just spoke about, that's money that will go to help families that own these small businesses. It'll help them provide for their children, money that goes back into the economy. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct, Representative.
Yeah. And this bill helps those small businesses ensure that they can continue to operate those small businesses by exempting things that they already pay taxes on. Is that correct?
Absolutely, you're correct, Representative Morgan. This is a double taxation that we're trying to provide relief to our small business owners and families in our communities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Does any member wish to speak on, for, or against the bill? Chair recognizes Mr. Meyer to close.
I move passage.
The question occurs in the passage to engrossment of HB 9. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative Meyer voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 132 ayes and 12 nays, HB 9 is passed to engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading HB 22. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 22 by Noble, relating to the exemption from ad valorem taxation of intangible personal property.
The chair recognizes Ms. Noble to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today we begin the historic process of eliminating an unnecessary and unneeded tax. Texas has long been recognized for our pro-business policies, low taxes, and economic competitiveness. House Bill 22 will further reinforce our well-earned reputation as one of the most business-friendly states in the nation by eliminating an outdated and unnecessary tax on intangible personal property. Our legislature has already ensured that most intangible personal property, which are things you cannot physically hold in your hand or touch, are exempt from taxation, but a handful of intangible assets, such as stock values of insurance companies and savings and loan associations, remain taxable under current law. This tax creates unnecessary uncertainty for business and harms Texas's competitive tax rating. Y'all, we don't want Texas to be hurt in any way when it comes to our competitive ranking. We are currently one of only 8 states that impose any form of intangible personal property tax. Even a limited intangible personal property tax can hurt businesses that own stock, trademarks, or other intellectual property and discourages in-state investment. This is a very real problem for some of our Texas businesses. While undergoing a property value study, the Comptroller's Office and the businesses have long debates trying to settle on the taxing of intangible property owned by that business. This tax wastes time and efforts, yet only provides minimal revenue to our state. House Bill 22 is a straightforward fix. By passing this bill, we will remove an unnecessary burden on businesses, ensure consistency in our tax code, and maintain Texas's status as a national leader in economic opportunity and investment. I move passage.
Mr. Pursuit, for what purpose?
Will the lady yield for some questions?
I will yield for questions.
She yields.
Thank you, Representative Noble. I believe in the fiscal note of this bill, it looked like and I don't want to use this term minor, because even $1 of tax is significant to the person that pays it. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that.
And so even though the fiscal note of this bill may only, I think 145,000 was the example for 2024, and we might view that as a limited tax, is it true that businesses have to evaluate this tax, study whether they have to pay it, and incur the fees related to that and for compliance with this law?
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Go further.
No, go ahead.
So, we talk a lot about eliminating property taxes, which I'd of course love to do. This is an intangible personal, what kind of tax? Property tax?
Yes.
And your bill eliminates a version of the property tax. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It will take it completely out of our tax code so that future legislatures will not have that to build on. And I'm so proud of that.
So limited cost, but high cost of compliance for businesses that we're going to get away with this. And in the
Absolutely.
process, eliminating one of our property taxes. Is that fair?
That is correct. Businesses currently go through a lot of gymnastics to figure out if they owe and what they owe on this tax, and I'm so proud that we are going to eliminate it.
Thank you, Representative, for a good bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Little, for what purpose?
Does the gentlelady yield for questions?
Gentlelady
yield for questions.
She yields.
Thank you. Representative Noble, how much property statewide is on the property tax roll that would be affected by this bill?
That is a great question. This is a really hard one to nail down. In 2023, it was, $323,879.
Okay, so just to be clear for the taxpayers of the state of Texas, we're talking about a total of intangible personal property statewide that has a value of $323,879?
That probably sounds minor to you, but it is very, very, very hard for these businesses to nail that amount down, and they go through a lot of work to figure out that they owe what they owe and that they owe on these intangible personal property items.
Well, having done property tax litigation myself for 20 years, it seems to me that we're capturing a few pieces of personalty that's owned by businesses in this state. Stock. Do we know how much stock is on the property tax roll in the state?
I do not. Do you happen to have that information?
No. Do we know how much in trademark there is on the property tax roll in the state, or intellectual property?
I do not. I just have those numbers in the totality from 2023.
So what I'm trying to understand is, and I'm trying to explain, excuse me, what I'm trying to understand and explain to the people back home in my district who are in the middle of a property tax crisis is why we are emphasizing an exemption on business personal property that is going to affect a total of less than $400,000 in value, not tax, in value in the state. And so what do you suppose I should say to the people in my district who are suffering under property taxes that we are emphasizing today, resolving one category of business personalty that has less than $400,000 in total taxable value statewide?
It may be minor to you, but for these businesses that have to do this, it is major. And when it hurts our tax competitiveness ranking as a state, you're talking about hurting businesses that may be willing to come here in the future. And all of that affects all Texans.
Do we know how many taxpayers we're talking about statewide?
I do not.
Do we know what categories of taxpayers we're talking about?
I do not, but I will say to you that dissing any taxpayer in the state of Texas is disrespectful to them.
Well, what taxpayers are we talking about? Is it just savings and loans and insurance businesses, or is it more than that?
Those are the ones that I know for sure are being taxed on this. That is insurance companies and savings and loan associations.
Is there anyone else in Texas that we are aware of or know about who is paying this intangible personal property
I am not
tax?
aware of others, but others are being assessed on it when they do their property value study with the comptroller. So it does affect other businesses other than the ones I mentioned.
Thank you, Representative Noble.
Thank you.
Representative Dutton, for what purpose?
Will the gentlelady yield?
I sure
Gentlelady
will.
yield. She yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, let me ask this question. Do you know what the value of the total exemptions from property taxes in Texas happens to be?
Are you talking about this bill, this intangible personal property taxes? Or are you talking about all property taxes?
I think all property taxes.
I am not aware. I am not informed of that.
Okay, but this would create another exemption for...
It actually is not an exemption. This is an elimination of this from our property tax code.
Okay, and which is currently now in the tax code.
It is in the tax code.
But your bill would simply take it out of the tax code.
Yes, because it is something that causes our businesses a great deal of trouble and time, and it's unnecessary and it's unproductive for us as a state.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
The chair recognizes Mr. Vasut to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, every dollar of tax in this state is taken at the point of a gun. That is how taxation works. And when we have an opportunity in this body to eliminate any form of taxation, we should take it. I believe in the elimination of property tax. Now, I don't have a bill in front of me to do that, but by God, I've got a bill in front of me to eliminate intangible personal property tax, and we should do it. That is the conservative public policy position. That's the right public policy position for the people of this state. And I urge you to vote yes.
All right, does any other member wish to speak for or against or on the bill? If not, the chair recognizes Ms. Noble to close.
I just want to remind you that this is only one little piece of our tax puzzle that we're going to handle this session, and I'm very proud to have one piece of that puzzle. I move passage.
The question occurs in the passage of House Bill 22. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Representative Noble voting aye. Mr. Meyer voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 133 ayes and 11 nays, House Bill 22 is passed to engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading House Bill 908. The clerk will ring the bell, or read the bill.
HB number 908 by Spiller, relating to the reporting by law enforcement agencies of missing children to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Recognize Mr. Spiller to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, first of all, this bill has absolutely nothing to do with taxes. What it does have to do with, however, is missing children, something we should all care about. House Bill 908 seeks to strengthen Texas' commitment to protecting missing children by ensuring that law enforcement agencies report missing child cases to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children database in a timely and a standardized manner. It clarifies and enhances existing procedures for law enforcement to ensure that every missing child's case is handled with the urgency and efficiency it deserves. In short, current law requires law enforcement to report missing children to the Texas Clearinghouse and the National Crime Information Center within 2 hours of receiving a report. House Bill 908 adds a requirement, among doing other things, that agencies must also report the case to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children within the same 2-hour window. It's a common-sense, child-centered reform that ensures missing children are reported to all necessary law enforcement and child safety organizations without delay. Incidentally, this is at no cost whatsoever to the taxpayer. This bill helps law enforcement work more efficiently and, most importantly, gives missing children a better chance of being found quickly and safely. I'd move passage.
Does any member wish to speak on, for, or against the bill? Chair recognizes Mr. Spiller to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move passage.
The question occurs in the passage to engrossment of House Bill 908. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 908 has passed to engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading House Bill 1392. The clerk will read the bill.
HB number 1392 by Busey, relating to the postponement of the delinquency date for a payment of ad valorem taxes imposed by a taxing unit if the office of the collector for the taxing unit is closed on the delinquency date.
The chair recognizes Mr. Busey to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Bill 1392 ensures that Texans aren't penalized for unexpected tax office closures that delay property tax payments, such as those caused by extreme weather events, cyber attacks, or unforeseen incidents. Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
Member wish to speak on, for, or against the bill? Hearing none, the chair recognizes Mr. Busey to close on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move passage.
The question occurs in the passage to engrossment of House Bill 1392. A record vote has been requested. The clerk will ring the bell. Chairman Busey voting aye. Mr. Meyer voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Show Representative Swanson voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 145 ayes and 2 nays, House Bill 1392 is passed to engrossment. Members, the Speaker's desk is clear. If you have any announcements, please bring them down front. The chair recognizes Mr. Moody for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Real quick, change of plans for Capital Commission Bible study. The Fishbowl is where we usually meet, but it's not available today. So I'm welcoming y'all down for lunch in my office with Scott Wall at Capital Commission for Bible study. As soon as we adjourn, that's GW18. Just go down the elevators and over to your left. You're more than welcome to join us. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Ms. Isaac for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the Texas International Produce Association is here today. They're on the South Steps, and they're handing out fresh produce. And also, don't forget that Vegetable Day, Fruit and Vegetable Day in Texas schools is the last Friday of this month, April 25th. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Mr. Lambert for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I want to remind you, everyone, that the TSTC caucus, that's the Texas State Technical College caucus, will have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in room 3N.6. That's Representative Guillen's office, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lambert moves the House adjourn pending the reading and referral of bills until 10 a.m. Thursday. Is there any objection? The chair is none. The House stands adjourned pending the reading and referral of bills. The following bills and resolutions on first reading and referral to committee. The clerk will read the bills and resolutions.
HB 1520 by Kitzman relating to the Angelina Nueces River Authority, following recommendations of the Sunset Advisory Commission, specifying grounds for the removal of a member of the Board of Directors or for the Committee on Natural Resources. HB 1525 by Kitzman relating to the Lower Nueces Valley Authority, following recommendations of the Sunset Advisory Commission, specifying grounds for the removal of a member of the Board of Directors or for the Committee on Natural Resources. HB 1530 by Kitzman relating to the Sabine River Authority of Texas, following recommendations of the Sunset Advisory Commission, specifying grounds for the removal of a member of the Board of Directors or for the Committee on Natural Resources. HB 1535 by Kitzman relating to the Trinity River Authority, following recommendations of the Sunset Advisory Commission, specifying grounds for the removal of a member of the Board of Directors or for the Committee on Natural Resources. HB 4401 by Voe relating to the collection of fees and refunds under the Chapter 006 of the Transportation Code of the Comptrollers or for the Committee on Transportation. HB 4402 by Gomez relating to the human operators of the certain automated motor vehicles or for the Committee on Transportation. HB 4403 by Gomez relating to the election of a junior college district trustees by plurality vote or for the Committee on Higher Education. HB 4404 by Pearson relating to the consideration of the provision of law enforcement, fire protection, and emergency services by Commissioners of Court of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality when determining whether by grant or deny a petition for the creation of a conservation or reclamation district or for the Committee on Natural Resources. HG 4405 by Kane relating to the Commission to coordinate celebrations of the bicentennial anniversary of Texas independence or for the Committee on Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. HB 4406 by Phelan relating to the reporting of direct campaign expenditures by certain persons and political committees or for the Committee on State Affairs. HB 4407 by Phelan relating to providing property tax relief through the public school finance system and property tax appraisal and admission for the Committee on Ways and Means. HB 4408 by Dean relating to the required reporting of information for the ownership and control of certain healthcare entities providing civil penalty for the Committee on Public Health. HB 4409 by Oliverson relating to audiology and speech language pathology, interstate compact authorizing fees for the Committee on Public Health. HB 4410 by Longoria relating to the Medicaid reimbursement rates for certain ground ambulance services or for the Committee on Human Services. HB 4411 by Gomez relating to school district hearings regarding complaints for the Committee on Public Education. HB 4412 by Landgraf relating to the use of hotel occupancy tax revenue by certain municipalities or for the Committee on Ways and Means. HB 4413 by Paul relating to the mass balance to renewable biomass feedstocks used to produce renewable chemicals or for the Committee on Environmental Regulation. HB 4414 by Alders relating to certain criminal offenses involving mail or mail receptacle keys or locks creating criminal offenses or for the Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence. HB 4415 by Gomez relating to the waiver of immunity from certain employment discrimination actions in connection with a workers' compensation claim or for the Subcommittee on Workforce. HB 4416 by McLaughlin relating to disorderly threatening behavior measures by public schools or institutions of higher education to prevent that behavior, increasing criminal penalties or for the Committee on Criminal Jurisprudence. HB 4417 by Gomez relating to the use of certain money by the State Highway Fund for certain projects for safe routes to school program for the Subcommittee on Transportation Funding. HB 4418 by Marlasa Maverick relating to the authority of the county attorney and the district attorney to enforce human trafficking awareness and prevention in commercial lodging establishments or for the Committee on Trade, Workforce, and Economic Development. HB 4419 by order relating to the General Peace Officers Commission by the Health and Human Services Commission Office for Inspector General for the Committee on Human Services. HB 4420 by Rose relating to the collection of information, available beds in inpatient mental health facilities providing acute psychiatric treatment for the Committee on Public Health. HB 4421 by Rose relating to the available resources to certain state agencies to support sustain peer recovery organizations in the state, referred to the Committee on Public Health. HB 4422 by Rose relating to discriminatory practices by health benefit plan issuer, pharmacy benefit plan, and third-party payer with respect to certain entities participating in the federal drug discount program, referred to the Committee on Insurance. HB 4423 by Kane relating to the collection, possession, use, and biometric identifiers and biometric information, referred to the Committee of Delivery of Government Efficiency. HB 4424 by Diallo relating to the promoting reemployment and deterring fraud and abuse in Texas unemployment benefits program, referred to the Committee on Trade, Workforce, and Economic Development. HB 4425 by Kane relating prohibiting public officers and employees from displaying preferred gender pronouns, authorizing civil right of action, for the Committee on State Affairs. HB 4426 by Darby relating to the term of permit issued by the Railroad Commission of Texas for a commercial service disposal facility, for the Committee on Energy Resources. HB 4427 by Darby relating to the recovery of certain expenses by electric utility or water, sewer utility, and a rate proceeding, for the Committee on State Affairs. HB 4428 by A. Davis of Dallas relating to the approval of innovative courses by the State Board of Education, or for the Committee on Public Education. HB 4429 by McQueen relating to the designation of a portion of U.S. Highway 281 by Blanco and Burnett counties as the McCloy Memorial Highway, for the Committee on Transportation. HB 4430 by McQueen relating to the annual study of motor vehicle collisions in the state, referred to the Committee on Transportation. HB 4431 by Kane relating to the repealing of chapter of the local government code related to zoological operation and maintenance boards, referred to the Subcommittee on County and Regional Government. HB 4432 by Dean relating to the Board of Directors of the Texas Mutual Insurance Company, referred to the Committee on Insurance. HB 4433 by Dean relating to the requirements of attaining an interbasin water transfer permit, for the Committee on Natural Resources. HB 4434 by Turner relating to the treatment for ad valorem tax purposes of the residential homestead of a totally disabled veteran, referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. HB 4435 by Orr relating to the maternal health program for certain healthcare providers, referred to the Committee on Public Health. HB 4436 by Louderback relating to certain images captured by the unmanned aircraft purposes for the news gathering, for the Committee on State Affairs. HB 4437 by Caprilino relating to the requirement of the Department of Information Resources implement and develop certain systems and databases to authenticate and track certain digital content, or for the Committee of Delivery of Government Efficiency. HB 4438 by Schaffner relating to the preceptor program and the pediatric subsidy for medical students in the state, for the Committee of Higher Education. HB 4439 by Metcalf relating to creating the Governor's Medal of Service Award to recognize service to the people of Texas, or for the Committee on State Affairs. HB 4440 by Leo Wilson relating to the use of receipts for attendance credit purchased under the public school finance system, or for the Committee on Public Education. HB 4441 by Villalobos relating to the administration of topical medications of certain healthcare facilities, or for the Committee on Public Health. HB 4442 by Bojani relating to the elective courses of mindfulness for the middle school, junior high school, and high school students, or for the Committee on Public Education. HB 4443 by Bojani relating to the establishment of the Texas Workforce Commission and pilot program to train workers for the career in energy sufficient technologies, and for the Subcommittee on Workforce. HB 4444 by Bojani relating to the authority of the Public Library to provide multilingual resources for emerging communities, or for the Committee on Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. HB 4445 by Bojani relating to the participation in a uniform group coverage program for active school employees, or for the Committee on Pensions, Investments, and Financial Services. HB 4446 by Cortez relating to transition of certain veterans' mental health initiatives from the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to the Texas Veterans Commission, or for the Subcommittee on Defense and Veterans Affairs. HB 4447 by Hecklin relating to information the Property Owners Association must file with the Texas Real Estate Commission, authorizing administrative penalty, for the Committee on Trade, Workforce, and Economic Development. HB 4448 by Hecklin relating to the automated artificial intelligence review of library material purchased by public schools, providing administrative penalty, for the Committee on Public Education. HB 4449 by Smithy relating to the sale of alcoholic beverages in certain annexed by certain municipalities, and for the Committee of Licensing and Administrative Procedures. HB 4450 by Johnson relating to the procedures of approving certain projects and permits applications by the Texas Historical Commission, or for the Committee on Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. HJR 181 by Perez of El Paso proposing Constitution Amendment authorizing the elections for the recall of a member of the Board of Trustees of the Independent School District, or for the Committee on Public Education. HJR 182 by Patterson proposing Constitution Amendment authorizing the Veterans Land Board to authorize general obligation bonds in the aggregate principal amount that is greater than the amounts previously authorized, or for the Committee on Pensions, Investments, and Financial Services. HJR 183 by Noble proposing Constitution Amendment authorizing the property tax reduction to reduce school district maintenance and operation ad valorem taxes, dedicating the certain incompetential general revenue and certain general revenue that would otherwise be transferred to the Economic Stabilization Fund to that fund, refer to the Committee on Appropriations. HJR 184 by Reynolds proposing Constitution Amendment provide a person of a convicted felony with the rights of vote, for the Committee on Elections. HJR 185 by Gonzalez of El Paso proposing Constitution Amendment to require the governor to execute a model gaming compact with the Alabama Cochituara tribe and the Sur Pueblo to authorize those tribes to sue in the state if the governor fails to execute the model gaming compacts, or for the Committee on State Affairs. HJR 186 by Allen proposing Constitution Amendment prohibiting slavery and involuntary servitude, to the Committee on State Affairs. H.J.R. 187 by Cook, proposing constitution amendment authorizing the legislature to exempt from ad valorem taxation the percentage of the assessed value of the property owned by certain disabled veterans, or for the Committee on Ways and Means. H.J.R. 188 by Berry, proposing constitution amendment authorizing the local government water development fund to assist in financing water projects in the state, or for the Committee on Natural Resources. H.J.R. 189 by Hopper, proposing constitution amendment specifying the authority of the Attorney General to prosecute a criminal offense prescribed by the election laws of the state, or for the Committee on State Affairs. H.J.R. 190 by Hopper, proposing constitution amendment to limit the time that a person may serve as a member of the Texas House of Representatives to 12 consecutive years, as a member of the Texas Senate to 14 consecutive years, or for the Committee on State Affairs. The following resolutions are being referred to the Committee on Local Consent Calendars. H.R. 682 by Leo Wilson, H.R. 683 by Perez of El Paso. The following resolutions by Hannah Jose are being referred to the Committee on Local Consent Calendars. H.R. 684 through H.R. 689, H.R. 690 by Letterback, H.R. 693 by Lozano, H.R. 694 by Curtis. The following resolutions by Leach are being referred to the Committee on Local Consent Calendars. H.R. 695 through H.R. 697, H.R. 698 by Johnson, and H.R. 699 by Orr.
Pursuant to a previously adopted motion, the House stands adjourned until Thursday, tomorrow, April 3rd, at 10 a.m.